Hello there, subscribers. This is Mo, and today is August the 3rd, 2016. I hope you're all having a nice afternoon. Thank you for subscribing, and today's video is going to be something called a reaction video. The only problem with this video will be that I will not have Mr. Neo Survivor's video called The Necessity of War. I will not have his video in my video to show you. Okay, how I'm going to do this is I ask Mr. Neo Survivor for his permission to comment about his video on this video, and he has given me that permission. Also, I will set a link in the description for you to go listen to that video. And I recommend that you subscribe to his channel because he is very, very deep into history. Anyone who likes the study of history of war would really enjoy listening to Neo Survivor. I think anyone who studies history in that great of a detail that's pretty amazing. And we really need more people to understand history so that we can understand what's going on with our world today and how it's changing. Okay, my reaction to his video is not going to be so much of a disagreement, although I do disagree on a couple of things that he said. I agree with a lot of what he was talking about. And one point that he made in the video was about this this agenda that the globalist and even the Pope himself has come up with about, I think it's also referred to as the New World Order. They are all part of this globalist thing where they want to bring the world together, like all of the cultures, they want to bring us all together underneath one God. And Neo Survivor is explaining that. And his opinion is that it would not work. Well, I tend to agree with that. And when he's talking about the necessity of war, I totally do see that if they tried that, if they tried to bring us all together underneath one God, I really have a problem with that because the human population on the globe, okay, let's just forget about countries. It doesn't matter what country you're from, what religion you believe in. They're all so different. Many, many, many religions have ruled in the past, and they do today, in many different cultures, everywhere. So bringing them all together underneath one God, I seriously have a conflict with that. And the reason I do is not just human nature, but it's going to bring about that revelation. Okay, if you're a studier of the Bible, which Neo says he studied the history of the war. Well, I have studied many religions. I have read many religious books. I've read the Bible more than once. That would be the King James Version that I have read. And I have studied it. And I have read Revelations more than 10 times. I have read the entire, all of it. And I have tried to understand it. I believe that if the globalists tried this, there could be a faction in there that is trying to bring about that fear that Revelation talks about. It talks about the end of the world. It also talks about a peaceful time at the end, which Neo Survivor also comments about, you know, the times of peace. Yes, there were many peace times, but I wonder if they were just a mirage, you know, kind of a placebo effect where everybody thinks, oh, everything's good now, everything's fine, when underneath there was complacency and everyone gets all cool and everything's okay. But then underneath something rises up. And what is rising up is what I believe Neo is referring to. It is the nature of humankind. And I believe that is all centered around our need to survive. And our nature will come out when we feel like we are oppressed, or if we feel like any part of our free ability, our free will is being taken. If any part of that is stepped upon, then we feel like we have to rise up. We've got to make our feelings known. I think in human nature, as Neo Survivor refers to, the nature of mankind is to be prominent. Okay, we want to be leaders. We want to be in the group. We need to be a part of what's going on. And if we are not, if we're down here on the bottom and all these big guys up here are just leading us around, we feel enslaved to them, and we don't want to be like that. I believe it is human nature to be out front. And sometimes that gets us into trouble because we want to be right there side by side with the leaders. And that is part of our survival instinct and our worry for our family and the community that we live in. We want to survive. We want to be a part of the crowd that keeps on going, that looks to the future, to better ourselves. And human nature sometimes gets us into trouble because that also brings out that human species qualities of being good enough, being better, having everything, and our wants and desires become a necessity. As far as him talking about the necessity of war in relationship to the New World Order or the globalist, I think that war could also be called the mark of the beast. According to many religions, they talk about the coming of the mark of the beast or the Antichrist. Okay, I've never been one to really get into that. I've read all about it and I've studied it, but I don't totally agree with that. But I do believe that there are enough people in the world today that do believe that. And they believe if they were forced to, they would have to choose between their God and another. And that is going to be very difficult because religion has been around for ages upon ages, okay? Civilization after civilization, there have been conflicts due to religion. And the necessity of war has been right in there. You can almost put war and religion side by side, okay? You could also put poverty and money side by side, okay? So if we say that religion, perhaps we could say that's part of the money field and poverty is part of the war field, okay? They fight, okay? These factions fight constantly so that the poor can get level with the rich here. And the poor will do whatever they have to be in that group. And they will fight to get there. It's almost exactly like the analogy in the Bible of Lucifer in heaven and God's angels. And Lucifer wanted to be up there next to God. He wanted it so bad that he defied his God. Therefore causing that necessity of war in heaven where God threw Lucifer down. Now, if you believe in the Christian teachings, that time when God threw Lucifer down, it was a time of chaos and turmoil on the planet, on earth. It was horrible. Earth became hell. And this is where God threw Lucifer down and he had to stay there. So that necessity of war was not just necessary, it became an absolute. So, I believe human nature and war is incompatible. I do not believe that the necessity of war is a good thing for any of us. How Neo Survivor talks about the possibility of the globalists using war as a tool to bring peace to the world. You know, he could be right. Maybe that's what their plan is. Maybe they're, planning on telling us it's necessary to kill all of these people. Well, I don't know. I want to tell Neo Survivor this. I am a Desert Storm veteran. Okay, I have seen war. I've seen the results of it. I have seen destruction beyond a scale I never want to see again. Never. And perhaps it may have something to do with the time that I was born. I was born in 1965, and that was around the Vietnam era, toward the end of it, and there were lots of peace groups going on where we want more peace, we don't want war anymore, no to war, and people were talking peace like the Flower Children. You remember those times if you're my age. You remember hearing about it. So this necessity of war, I believe if they use that analogy, there will be a lot of suffering for people who don't want to go there. And if we are forced to choose one over the other, I think some of us might, just because of the human nature to survive. A lot of people may bow to the commander. They may bow to that person in charge and say, okay, I'll do it your way, just to survive. And then that peace may last for a little bit, but eventually human nature will boil up again, and there will be people that will say, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be forced to do things that I don't want to do. So, I think Neo Survivor makes an excellent point, and we should all be aware of what is going on around us. The more these people talk about a new world order and globalists and even the Pope himself getting involved, I worry about that. I truly have nothing against religions. I think it's wonderful. You've got your own religion, but when you start forcing that on other people, and when you start saying you have to follow this rule or else, and the necessity of war comes in, I don't think the necessity of war is going to matter, because people are going to be angry and they will revolt. I mean, it's as simple as that. And then you could call that a revolution. It could be a religious revolution. Kind of like in the French Revolution, for instance, or the church wars, the religious wars, in the 16th century, the 15th century, even back to the 14th century, the Catholic and the Protestant wars with the people in England and France. I mean, it's very serious. So, Neo Survivor, you are amazing studying the history of war like that. But I would suggest to you that you also look up the wars on religion, religious wars that have happened. In nearly every war that has happened anywhere on the planet, there has always been a faction of religion in there somewhere. And I refuse to believe that people would bow to that. I think there would be a major conflict, which may very well lead to your necessity of war. Tell me what you think about this video. I can't wait to hear back from Neo about it. I will do a video to let you know his comments about it. I'm sure that me and him can discuss it. I can't wait. Please hit that subscribe button right underneath my name on the right hand side of your screen. There's a little word there. It says subscribe. please go over there and click on subscribe. Share this video and let me know what you think. All of your ideas are welcome and all of your comments are truly appreciated. If you disagree, please disagree wholeheartedly. Let me know what you think. I can't wait to hear back from everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day and study your history. It's very important because history has lessons for us to learn. We only have to open our mind to learn them and not repeat them. Thank you.